Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of our podcast to celebrate International Women's Day 2025. I'm Christine Jones, manager at Coopman Search and Selection. I specialise in the recruitment of qualified professionals across the aircraft leasing industry. This year's theme for International Women's Day is Accelerate Action, highlighting the importance and urgent need to take swift and decisive steps towards gender equality. To explore this year's theme for International Women's Day, we are joined by Ciara Hogan, Commercial Director at Miagen. Ciara, please tell me about yourself.
Of course. Hi, Christine. Thanks for having me. So my name is Ciara Hogan. I'm the Commercial Director at Miagen, which is a small consultancy firm based here in Dublin. So in Miagen, we specialise in agile business planning that empowers finance teams to lead. And we do this through our financial models with bring business and industry insights. So effectively, what does that mean? We bring technology to finance people. So think of it as a digital transformation for the office of the CFO. So what we've done is we've productized our solutions. We've had particular success in the aircraft leasing market. So we have a product called LeaseGen. And we just recently, based on kind of current portfolio, we can now say that 1 in every 5 leased aircraft goes through a Miagen model, which is a really big milestone for the company. So my role within all this as commercial director is really just looking after our existing portfolio of clients, looking after our relationship with our technology partners. So we don't actually own the technology. We build models on whatever technology best services the clients need. So relationship with both of those, which looks after kind of rates and contracts and all that goes with that, look after our sales team, our sales operations. I also have to look after, say, our PR and marketing relationships. We outsource that, but it still falls within my remit. And then the latest thing is ESG. So I'm now leading ESG for Miagen, which is an ever-evolving space, but it's very exciting.
You're currently doing a master's as well in ESG.
Yeah, so it's a postgrad in Trinity called Sustainable Development for Businesses. So
how's it going?
It's great. Yeah, I really enjoy it. The kind of cohort of my colleagues that are within the class is a fantastic mix of people from all different industries, all different age groups. So, you know, lots of different perspectives.
How are you managing juggling the two?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit overwhelming at times, but it's really good. I like being busy, so it suits me.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, I guess to start it off then, just in terms of questions, why is International Women's Day a positive initiative, especially for our industry?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I actually think it just gives us all a reason to kind of pause and reflect on what we're doing, whether it's as an individual, as a leader, as a business, as a society. And I think we can just really challenge kind of the status quo and are we doing enough? So it just facilitates those type of conversations because life is busy and if you don't take time to mark it, it will just pass us by.
Okay, brilliant. And is there any key moments that stand out to you that shaped your career or maybe any challenges that you had to overcome as a woman within the space?
I can't pinpoint anything. I think I've been particularly lucky in that point of view, and I not saying that that's the kind of experience that everyone has, but I have always felt very supported by the men that I work with. I have, just based on kind of teams that I've been assigned to, I've always had a male as kind of a boss or a leader or whatever you want to call it. And they've always created space for me. So even in my current role now, working with Teddy Murphy, our CEO, he will always advocate for women in the workplace. He speaks very highly of his own mother and how she influenced him and setting up the business. He has 3 daughters, so he's very much
Blessed
like
amongst women.
Exactly, a lot of female energy for him. But no, it's really good. So I will say that even in my previous role, I worked in the Big Four and it was the same. People always created space for me. But I think with that comes a responsibility to fill that space, to take it seriously, to come well prepared. And that way you can kind of earn and maintain that kind of trust and respect.
Yeah, of course. And any advice you wish that you had earlier potentially, or maybe that you would give to younger professionals?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think for me, it's really never underestimate your personal brand or your network.
Okay.
And I think maybe it's because I came up through a training program straight out of college. And I think a lot of people might dismiss it in a way to say like, oh, I'm only 22, I'm out of college, it's my first job, how serious is it? But it's only now kind of 10, 12 years on that I'm looking and saying, God, those people that I started my training program with are now like business leaders or CFOs. And it's a case that whatever perception they have of you may stay with you. So like, it's just, I think for younger generations, never to be dismissive of that. Take it seriously, always be hardworking, and just make sure that you're representing kind of your true self.
Yeah. And how do you think companies could accelerate action and empower and support women within the workplace?
So for me, I think that really comes down to flexibility. It is not only a case of, say, remote working, but maybe just having flexible hours if there is a case that someone has an appointment or there's a school drop off or whatever that may be. One thing that came up quite recently on the sustainability course that I'm doing is the need for more part-time positions.
Yeah.
So obviously the woman is seen kind of as the home carer, whatever way you want to phrase it. But I suppose that doesn't always just relate to women with children. It could be people with dependent relatives or elderly relatives. And ultimately, they may still want to work, but either, you know, facilities aren't there for support or the cost of them is too high and it just doesn't really warrant the position, but it's something that they actually want to do. So it was really a question of, can we make space within a company to maybe keep that role alive in a part-time capacity to facilitate other demands that life throws at us. So I think being able to have those conversations, I think really advocating for each other as women. So like, if someone's not in the room, like still speak up and support them, and then also be conscious of other people's situations. Again, not necessarily just women, but just having that element of flexibility. So like if it's a 9 a.m. meeting, it mightn't suit everyone, and having the option to dial in from home and things like that. I think at the moment, that's how we can support each other. One thing I did find when I was looking up the theme for today was that based on our current trajectory, it's going to take, I think they said 5 generations on the way that we're going at the moment for parity within male and females in the workplace. And that's staggering, like 5 generations. Now, I do think that things, you know, it's not linear. So we do have the power to change that. And even if we look back to, you know, kind of our parents or grandparents' generations, they didn't have the ability to be able to work once you got married. And like us advocating for each other, you know, we all overcame that. So I think if we keep overcoming those small wins, not that that was a small win, do not want to diminish it, but just like the way we're talking about here, like flexibility or working from home, might seem like a small win at the moment, but I think when those small effects compound, it will move us off that trajectory and we'll be able to maybe overcome it quicker.
And I think it's beyond just women supporting women. It's everyone supporting each other, just as you said there. Like everyone has to come together to make this a better kind of gender equality for all.
It is. And that, like, that's the key part. It has to be equal. Like a boardroom full of women may not work either. Do you know? So like it's we all bring different perspectives. We all bring our own bias into things. And, you know, I asked my boss just yesterday, I was like, what does it mean to you? And he was like, women just see things that men don't. And maybe he just meant in a work context or whatever that may be. You can kind of take from it what you like. But it was that real understanding that we do need a balance. It's not one way isn't the right way.
Yeah, no, of course. And I guess then for yourself throughout your career, do you have any proudest achievements that stood out to you, whether it's professionally or even personally?
Yes, I guess I do. I'm terrible at this. I like hate kind of focusing on myself. But yeah, like look, every milestone along the way has been a sense of achievement. Like even I trained as an accountant, I never thought I'd get through the CAP ones. So then to kind of get your FAEs and qualify was amazing in itself. But the sad thing is, as you move away from that, the importance of it kind of diminishes, and I don't want to take from anyone going through it at the moment, but there's obviously more challenges, and that's what becomes your everyday and what you're focused on. So most recently, I would say I'm probably proud of the fact that I was able to step away. So I was a senior manager in a Big Four firm. I absolutely loved it. I worked with incredible people, incredible clients. I thought it was fantastic. And it was actually Mark, so Christine's boss, who rang me and started poking holes that I didn't know were there. And he saw something in me and then introduced me to Teddy. And Teddy saw something in me that wasn't what I thought was within my skill set. And it was that element of kind of backing yourself, taking a total leap of faith and try to establish yourself in a new industry. I was blessed in the sense that Miagen have a large presence in the aircraft leasing sector, and that's where I had worked in my previous role. So there was that commonality, but moving from an accounting and auditing background into a commercial director role, you know, I hadn't a clue, but it's been great.
And have you ever dealt with imposter syndrome throughout that process?
100%. Yes. So, you know, I try to put a positive spin on those things and be like, it is totally normal to feel that way. And I guess it's a learning opportunity and everything that everyone tells you, but you can't get over that fear. And what I will say is that when you feel like that, surround yourself with people who believe in you, who will back you up, who will give you the confidence when maybe you don't have it yourself. And like that, Teddy and Mark saw something in me that maybe I hadn't seen in myself, and they just gave me the space to explore it. We got in like correct resources for me to learn. So from a Miagen perspective, I had to we were going through a period of change, so I had to change the entire sales operations, which as an accountant I have never dealt with. I don't even know what the acronyms stand for, you know, all these things running through my head. But I got a really good coach, Dr. Maria Coakley. I think she works with UCC. She was amazing, and she came in, talked me through everything, was always there for calls and advice when I needed her. It helped me kind of run different scenarios and see how things might kind of work out, which was brilliant. And then obviously just Teddy as our CEO, kind of always having an open door policy that you can just pick up the phone and ring or drop into the office and be like, I don't know if this is working, what do you think? Or what? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it was a huge period of change, but I'm really enjoying it. It's going well.
Amazing. And do you have any role models or anyone that you look up to throughout your career, or is there anyone in particular?
Yeah, I suppose in multiple different ways. So like personally, I guess my own parents, they're extremely hardworking. So they instill that in myself and my brother from a very, very young age. They're both retired now, and I can't keep them sitting down. Like they're always like off doing interview boards or on committees and stuff. They will not stop. So that there's an element to that. I have a fantastic network of friends who, a lot of us now are in the corporate industry, and like that, you know, they're very high positions in their own fields. And it's great to lean on for advice. When I was coming up through, I trained with EY, so they automatically assign you a kind of counsellor or mentor from the get-go. And then as you move up through the ranks, that position changes. So maybe when you join, you have an assistant manager, but obviously when you're that level, it would be the partner that is your mentor. So I've always had guidance. One thing I did find difficult when I moved into my current role is when you're not saying at the top, you're never at the top, but as in I was kind of the highest person in my department, I have no one then to look up to. So it's trying to find a role model, whether it's an industry peer, whether you lean on your friends, like I said, whether you find someone in like a woman in business in Ireland that you find like a particularly good role model. I think we've loads of them at the moment. So like my friends will slag me that I'm obsessed with Amy Connolly. I think it's a fantastic success story for women in business. But there's loads, like even, I don't know if you know Graw Chocolates. That's another, so I think it's Grania Mullins is her name.
They're all
but
handmade.
Sorry, she got picked up by Forbes 30 under 30, and I remember bumping into her at a food festival and like saying it to her. I was like, I saw this, like huge congratulations. So I think, yeah, it like you'll always find inspiration to draw from if you're open to it. But I would be naturally curious in that way. There's a lot of like business podcasts I listen to and read up on different stories, and just take snippets from it and learn from it, or maybe try and introduce the techniques to your own industry or your own role. So, yeah, it's good. It's interesting.
Brilliant. I know you mentioned that you're currently working in another area. So can you talk me through a little bit more detail just in terms of you're moving a little bit away from aircraft leasing, your comfort area into sports? What's that entail?
Yeah. So yeah, you spoke about imposter syndrome. Honestly, if you told me 3 years ago that I would be moving out of the Big Four and working with an IT consultancy firm talking about sports, I would have laughed in your face. So yeah, it's exciting though. So at Miagen, we are launching an FP&A solution for the sporting industry.
Mm-hmm.
We're not necessarily limiting it to any one particular area or like one particular sport, but it's really coming in on the back of increased regulations from governing bodies in kind of the Premier League and the leagues that are below that. Don't even know what they're called. So basically what happened is there has been a huge rise in costs, so all their operational costs from players, transfer fees, everything that goes along with that. And then the revenue generation is really dependent on the success of the team. So what I didn't realise is that when a team gets relegated, they actually lose up to about 60% of their revenue.
Yeah.
So that can be from broadcasting fees, it can be from match day tickets, the merchandise, anything. It's all affected. And unfortunately, that then leads to redundancies and cuts across the board. And one of the interesting things to tie it back to International Women's Day is that some of the UK male teams actually fund the women's football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when there's costs that are being cut, unfortunately, women also suffer. So essentially what we've done is we've brought in a kind of all-encompassing FP&A solution to help them manage their finances. And this is on the back of what was called the Financial Fair Play Rules, which I think is now the Financial Sustainability Rules. But yeah, essentially I never thought I would be talking about this. But again, you just kind of have to roll with the punches and learn these things as you go. So it's really interesting. And I suppose for us, like you're saying, my comfort zone was in aircraft leasing. So I can talk about an MSN, I can talk about how to drill down into that level of granularity. But now for us, we're looking at the utilisation of the asset being the player. So it's, quite transferable, which is fantastic. And then not only that, we're also looking into like AI and analytics around the information. So you could look at a return on investment in marketing spend. Some clubs are using it for, say, grassroots and trying to earmark where in a certain jurisdiction there's really bad, say, women joining clubs, or looking at that sort of attrition as well, and how do we keep people engaged. Does, say, the weather impact people attending matches and stuff like this? So again, not just soccer, it can be a lot of other sports. So it's really just looking at connecting to source systems to draw on all the data that's there, really just to help people make insightful decisions so that they're data driven, they can be more confident and informed when making those decisions. So yeah, it's something new, but it's all go.
You've got this. Okay, Ciara, thank you so much for joining us here today. That's a wrap of our podcast for International Women's Day 2025. Happy International Women's Day to everyone watching, and I hope you've all gained something from this.